very, very good morning to all of you and welcome to the Sunrise Safari. We do apologize for the late start. We're only a few minutes late, but I think that our tech team has been battling off gremlins left, right and center. A quick introduction. My name is Jamie and this morning Jahawi is on camera with me and we have something very exciting planned for you. So we are live from the Masai Mara here in Kenya, and of course you will also be joined by our crew in South Africa, so you get to experience the wilderness of two different countries. Because it's live, send through your questions on hashtag Safari Live on Twitter and you can let me know what you think of my plans this morning. So I thought we sit up at the top of this mountain and you always get to experience the moment that we sort of hit the Mara floor, and I thought, why not do the Sunrise Safari from the top of the mountain, which is going to be an interesting experience. But there's beautiful birds that we never see down on the plains, things like the Ross's Turaco, which I'm hoping to find for you. There's a ground hornbill calling somewhere behind me. There's Topi walking just past the football field. And there's one other reason. I don't have any diesel. The diesel pump broke yesterday, and as a result, Taylor's diesel situation from yesterday morning has sort of extended to me. So while I wait for our wonderful mechanic to bring us a jerry can full of diesel, we get to potter around the top and you get to see the behind the scenes. I'm sitting on the Angama airstrip at the top of the mountain. There's a topi rubbing mud on his horns, and the reason he's doing that, all antelope do it. One, it's a nice scratchy place. There you go, you can see it's an airstrip because there's a little plane on it. But he's doing it for itchy horns and to make himself look big and strong. There's some zebra in the background. Well, there were some zebra in the background. There's the football field. There they go. The zebra have arrived for the local football game. There's often giraffe wandering about. There's all sorts of exciting things to see up here. The only negative is that I'm not entirely sure what the boundaries of our signal are. We'll figure it out as we go along. But isn't this a beautiful spot? This is where we live. This is where people go jogging, if you're into that sort of thing. They go jogging all the way up the airstrip, and if we have a look, sometimes we even go for hikes. I keep forgetting I'm in Nyala this time, so my reverse is in the opposite direction. There's the airstrip. There's a giraffe on the airstrip. Hold on. I hope my signal holds out. Let's see how we go. I'm not going to drive very far because I don't have any diesel. There you go. Now, when planes come in, I'm not going to test the boundaries of my signal now. When planes come in, they often have to circle round a few times because, well, there might be animals on the airstrip. And the last time that there's a person, there's Maasai gentleman, there's the giraffe, there's an impala. The last time I was here on the airstrip, it was when Steph and our special guests were arriving, and as the plane touched down, a herd of impala panicked and ran out in front of them, and they had to slam on the brakes very, very quickly. I don't, in my head a plane has brakes like a car, but I assume that's not quite exactly how it works. So that's the plan. We're going to go and find the different bird species, some tropical boo-boos for you that I always think sound like they're singing, what's the song they always sing? I'll find them and I'll remember exactly what it is. But they always sound like they're singing a slightly inebriated version of a song to me. So we've got plenty to look at around here. I'm going to go off in search of something else. So while I'm stuck-ish, not really stuck, that's the wrong word, while I'm up on the top of the mountain, Brent has made his way down. Let's go and find out what his plans are.
Well, we're ready down at the bottom. Good morning, and welcome to a very wet and fresh Masai Mara this morning. My name is Brent Smith. I have Craig, aka the Batman, on camera with me today, and we are setting off on a full 3-day adventure across to the other side of the river. Now, we're going to be working around the Salas area and the Sand River down towards Lookout Hill.
Good morning and welcome to our sunrise safari from a rather chilly, overcast, grey Djuma Game Reserve. VM was adding a bit of colour with the flowers of a knobthorn, which is really quite late in the season. Now, my name is Tristan, and on camera today, as I've just mentioned, is VM the Wildebeest, and it promises to be a good morning. There's lots of potential things to go and look around for, so hopefully we will have a good time. Now, I know some of you did tag me in some pictures of Hosanna at the Nest Cam last night, so thank you very much for that. And that just goes to show to all the others that it is interactive, and it means that we are live and you can talk to us and ask any questions that you may have, and you can do that on #SafariLive or on the YouTube chat should you want to. Right, now I was saying lots of little things that we can potentially follow up on. Well, Hosanna is one of them, so we've been looking around for his tracks. I've done a little bit of Twin Dams, we checked Pangolin track, we've checked a little bit of Weaver's Nest. No sign of him so far. I think he might have gone into the Mulawati. Tax said he left him going a little bit sort of southeast, so I think maybe Mulawati is where we're going to go and have a little look, see if we can't find him. Now, in terms of the lions, unfortunately, because I know a lot of you have been asking about lions, it sounds like our Inkahuma pride is being very naughty, and they are all the way down on Londolozi. What they are doing down there, I'm not quite sure. And on top of it, they've managed to kill another giraffe, so that's at least another 3-4 days of no Inkahuma pride, and the Birminghams apparently have been dragged there with them as well. So I'm not sure we're going to see too much of any lions. We will try and check the southern boundary for the Styx pride. That's also why we're down here at the moment, just to see if we can get some tawny colours in our lives. And well, we guess keeping a patient ear out for the hyena den, because Rex is on his way to hyena den just to see if there isn't a sign of them there as well. Right, so that's the kind of plans for the morning, as we're going to be down in the south. We're going to try and see if there's any sticks areas. Just be interesting too to go and check where Shadow crossed last night, if there's any sign of another leopard coming into the area and sniffing around, particularly if Tundi maybe came through here and just sniffed around and see who actually was around her area. And so I'm going to go Twin Dams, and then from there I think we'll head northwards again and try and see if we can pick up tracks for Hosanna, and then go from there and try and find our little man and see what he got up to last night. Now, conditions this morning are absolutely perfect, or last night are perfect hunting weather for the cats. It's been cold, it's overcast, it's windy, it's dark, which means that it would have been great for them to be out trying to chase things around. And so I'm pretty sure that someone or somewhere there's a successful kill waiting for us to find it. Now, while we go and have a little look and see what we can find, I believe Jamie Patterson, who is, I think, left the airstrip, has managed to find a rather stripy animal to show all of you.
Look at what we've got here. When we first arrived in the Mara, one of the things that made the girls go weak at the knees was the little baby zebras that wandered around the airstrip. I, of course, include myself in that category, but they really are just so incredibly sweet with their fluffy coats to help to keep them warm. So much fluffier than the adults, and usually quite a lot browner, although this little chap is quite a dark baby zebra. There's even one that lives somewhere around here with a black face. Completely black face rather than black and white stripes. But look how tiny this little thing is compared to Mum. This one is probably only a couple of weeks old, if that. They're actually born much larger than you expect with baby zebra. Now, this morning, as I walked out of my tent, I found myself surrounded by our regular herd of zebra. They, as I've mentioned before, like to pave our pathways with their dung, which we don't complain about too much, but they do also occasionally like to give us a little bit of a fright. Because, you know, when you're walking in the dark, obviously we all carry flashlights, but when you're walking in the dark and something next to you snorts, it does occasion cause for alarm. That was a beautiful little show jump, little one. It's Brad. I love their little legs too, especially when they exercise them like this little one is doing. Running for the sake of running, just because it's fun. Running back to check that Mum's still there, running to see how far it can get. Oh, oopsie. Change of direction. Oh, that's brave, little one. Going so far away. Off to another zebra. Careful you don't get a kick in the face. Other zebra are not particularly friendly to zebra foals. Here we go. Yep, oopsie. Speed wobble. I warned you. I know, little one. The thing is that female zebra are not related to each other when they're in a harem, which means that they have no invested interest in the offspring of another female. And that makes them far less tolerant than, say, lionesses of a pride that will actually suckle cubs from another female, because it will be their mother's or their daughter's cubs or their sister's cubs or their aunt's cubs. So it makes sense to help out there. But with zebra, they are far more impatient with the little ones, often kicking them. And if the zebra foal starts to make distress sounds, if it starts to call for mum, if it's lost her for any reason, the adults in a herd, sometimes young stallions, sometimes the other mares, will actually kill the foal or badly injure it to try and keep it quiet. It's one of those unfortunate things about nature. It's one of those things that as human beings we struggle to understand. But this little one is fine. Mum is right there. And there's no cause for concern. And of course, this is the perfect place to be if you're a zebra, because the predators don't often come wandering up here. Yes, we actually have a camp leopard that wanders through and soars. None of us have seen it, but we found his tracks. Oh, breakfast time. Come on, Mum. Baby wants breakfast. Oh, come on. That's not very nice, little one, is it? Roshni, yes, there are lots and lots of brand new zebras around, and lots of very pregnant zebras. I actually saw a massive zebra, and by massive I mean incredibly pregnant. I actually saw a really large zebra on our way home yesterday morning. So somewhere around here we've got a pregnant zebra. The reason being, oh hold on, I think we're actually going to suckle here. I don't want to have my head in the way for that. The reason being, it is the rainy season, or at least the small rains. Oh, sorry little one, I thought you were actually going to get your breakfast. Almost. So it makes sense to have a spike in births of the small herbivore animals. So buffalo, there's lots of buffalo calves, topies are giving birth, lots of zebras. I saw a warthog yesterday that was positively bursting, so she's going to have little ones very soon. We've seen lots of baby warthogs. It's baby season, essentially. The wildebeest have come and gone. The time of plenty for the predators is over, and now it's a time of plenty for the herbivores. There we go, there we go. Oh, Mom. Come on. Little one just wants a drink. It might be that this foal is already fed today. She might not actually have produced much more milk. She might just not be in the mood. Obviously, the younger they are, the more frequently they will suckle. The older they get, the more they move towards weaning. And like all herbivores, zebra wean far faster than the carnivores, or like a lot of herbivores. Let's be clear, because of course elephants, rhino, hippopotamus, they all have quite extended periods of suckling. But for creatures sort of that we term general game, antelope, buffalo, wildebeest, zebra, they all have relatively short weaning periods, which makes sense because, of course, with a high rate of predation, it pays to be able to look after yourself as soon as possible and not be reliant on mum. See how fortunate we are to live up here. We've got this stunning view. We've got animals all around us. The giraffe come to visit. Snazzy, it's a little bit of an educated guess in terms of how old that zebra is. It doesn't still have its umbilical cord. It's not particularly wobbly, or I find when zebra are first born, in that first week or so, the first 10 days, they look so fragile. They look these little spindly legs, whereas this one's got a bit more stability. And then having seen brand newly born baby zebra, I've got a rough idea of size. So there's a little bit of guesswork involved as well. That's why I try not to be too specific. I mean, I'm not going to say it's 21 days old or 18 days old, because I'm not 100% sure. But I would say it's over 2 weeks, or around about that sort of area. But it is a guess. And it just comes from observing zebra growing up over a course of time. Same with the lion cubs. There's an answer I'm not 100% sure of. Serafina wants to know how long baby zebras sleep during the day. I know that I've seen them sleeping for at least half an hour in the past. I don't know how long they sleep during the night. Most of the time when I've seen them when we've been driving around at night, they're standing, but that's not really a fair representation because they could be standing thanks to the sound of our vehicles. So I'm not 100% sure on that. I would say that they will have a nap a couple of times throughout the day. Like all baby animals, all that growing takes it out of you. Especially when you have to grow that fast so that you can keep up with the rest of the herd and you've got such long legs. So I would say that they nap for half an hour to an hour a couple of times a day. This little one is wide awake though. Or was. And unlike the elephant herds, when the babies will actually stop and have a little nap, the whole herd will come and protect it. Baby zebras can only really afford to nap when the rest of the herd isn't moving, because they're not going to wait for it. The nice thing about baby zebras, or at least the zebra herd structure, is that while the females might not be invested in the foals, apart from the mother of course, the males absolutely are. And I've seen stallions fighting fiercely to protect their babies. It's one of the cases in nature where the father plays a very big role. And I've seen situations where a zebra stallion was trying to fight off 3 hyena to try and save his little one. Unfortunately, the baby was beyond saving and was in fact ensconced in a dam, as hyenas often do. But it was so touching to watch the commitment of the father. Right, well, speaking of hyenas and that particular tale, let's go back down to the Mara where Brent has found the hyena themselves.
Look at this, isn't this absolutely gorgeous? The most spectacular morning light creeping through, and hyenas love the water. Well, there's probably a frog giving the hyena a fright. Now, after the amount of rain we had last night, there could be snakes that have been trapped in the water. Now, this is areas where we've been off-roading in, driving, following lions, and it is now a massive swamp. And you can hear the frogs at the moment. I'm just going to keep quiet for a second. It is amazing. Now, the other really great thing is that the birding, and particularly the water birding in these areas, is going to get incredible, especially if it keeps raining and these areas keep full. We're going to see lots of very cool different water birds that we probably haven't seen before on the live safaris. Well, let's see where the hyena's off to. See if he's got to cross a deep spot, which I think he does. Now, also, with all this water around, the hyenas will use it to cache pieces of meat, hide it from other hyenas and other scavengers. What have you found? No. Let's just go past the termite mound. Hello, Howard. Are you enjoying your morning water walk? Oh, this is gorgeous. Look at that reflection. Now he's got to cross the deep spot if he decides. In the drain next to the road. Oh, beautiful. Mr. K is wondering, how do we know if it's a male or female hyena? Well, Mr. K, they can be quite difficult to sex. I'd say this is a female. It looks like she's got engorged teats. So she's probably got cubs at the den. It can be very difficult because normally the female hyenas are quite a lot bigger than the males, but in certain males that stay with the clan but give up their breeding rights actually become bigger than the females. So there is quite a lot of variance in the size of hyenas, but you do need to look carefully between their legs, which, as with hyenas, can be a little bit difficult because the females have pseudo penises and pseudo testes, but in this case, the fact that she's got enlarged teats means that it is certainly a female. Now, some of the water birds have already arrived. Now, I'm going to keep following the hyena, but up ahead, there's a bird that's changing its habits now with the changing seasons. We've seen marabou storks feeding off carcass. Sorry, Megs, can you go again with that question? So the marabou storks are going to be changing their habits now. Now that there's so much water around, lots of frogs, they're not going to be feeding as much off carcasses. They'll be feeding off catfish and frogs. Oh, there we go. Proud Cat Mama would like to know, are hyenas good swimmers? Yes, they are. Well, not particularly good, but they really like water. They spend a lot of time lying in water. Okay, so there we go. We've got some water birds already taking advantage of this lovely new water. And there's the marabou stork, who's changed from eating decaying wildebeest to eating frogs and other aquatic things that it can catch. And if we look to the left of the marabou stork, or we're going to the right, there we go, we've got a couple of birds to the right. So we've got some Egyptian geese on the right-hand side, but there's a bird just behind the Egyptian geese now. There we go, a sacred ibis. And another bird that is really going to take advantage of this lovely water. There we go, flopping about, giving itself a clean. Now we've got some black-headed herons in the background. We've got an intermediate egret. There we go, intermediate egret. We found something yummy there. And a little bit further to the left, oh, there's the black-headed heron. He's also found something to eat this morning. Lots of little frogs around. Anna-Marie is wondering, would any venomous snakes lurk around these wet areas? And if we keep going, there's some crowned cranes as well. Anna-Marie, they wouldn't per se choose to lurk in the water, but around the edges most definitely. A lot of snakes might have been caught. Oh, there's some giraffe in the background, and there's a car coming. I just need to move off the road quickly. Now, I think we're going to see some really, really pretty stuff, like giraffe walking through these swamps. I'm just going to get a little bit further forward. Now, this whole area for the next couple of months is going to be almost impossible to get into, so we're going to have to live with wandering around the peripheries. It is absolutely gorgeous. Crowned cranes. And doing a bit of preening. Now, I'm quite excited for the smaller water birds we might find in here. Bitterns, crakes. And also, as we get closer to December, we're going to get a lot of waterfowl as well. So different ducks and teals that we probably haven't seen before on Djuma. We should get great snipe here as well, an African snipe. So these areas are going to be an incredible birding area. Now, that is the Swahili name for this area is Majiandege, place of the water birds. we are on a 3-day adventure. So we're going to keep moving. We're going to keep heading south towards the Purangat Bridge and then cross towards the Sand River. So we're going to leave this lovely wetland and move on. But it sounds like Scott's got a wetland of his own.
Yes, good morning everyone. My name is Scott and we just thought we would stop up here with a little bit of elevation looking out onto the floor of the Mara to show you just how much rain we got last night. Take a look. I'm teamed up with Ferg on camera this morning and it is exciting for old Brent heading off on his 3-day adventure. We on the other hand are only doing a 1-day adventure. We plan on, look at that. Now there was no water clearly visible from where we are here now in that swamp yesterday. That's called the Mbirimoko swamp, I'm told. And as Ferg pans around, you'll see there is a lot of water lying around in puddles on the roads. We got a serious storm yesterday afternoon. And providing this area with some much needed rain, and it certainly is incredible just how quickly the vegetation is making the most of this rain and turning a beautiful electric green color. Difficult to see now because the sun has not managed to penetrate what seems to be, for now, a cloudy day. Lots of buffaloes in the distance. They'll be enjoying the grass, that's for certain. Like I said, Ferg and I plan on spending the whole day out, and we intend on heading all the way down to the southern reaches of the Mara River. There have been quite a few crossings over there, and we are hoping that maybe we'll be able to see a few more with you guys. We don't have any river cameras that far down the river, so it requires us to be there to be able to share the action live with you. Morning, Red. I'm glad you enjoy this exquisite view. What an incredible driveway down into work every morning. We are very, very lucky. It's not as much fun driving up the hill after work. I can tell you that much for free. But heading down is always absolutely beautiful. Ah, very good. Now, Jamie's been trying to spend a lot of time with the certain pregnant zebra that was missing an ear, and I wonder if that's the same one she's looking at now.
It's definitely not. She's got 2 ears, so it is not our one-eared missing zebra, who I confess I haven't managed to see again. Although if you carry on like that, girl, you might be. This is the zebra I was talking about that I saw on the way home. Obviously, you can see some pipes in the background because we are literally at the back of the camp and behind the shamba, which is where they grow vegetables. But just look at this poor zebra. She is bulging to the point of it must be uncomfortable. She must feel so discomforted. Wait till she turns and either faces us or faces away from us, and you can see just how far. Look, 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 look. She's a boat. She's enormous. That birth must be imminent. Surely, any day now, she's going to have that little foal. And if we look at her nipples when she moves a little bit, when we can actually see them, you'll be able to see that they're quite swollen, which means her milk's come in, which means that birth is... Look, she's even knock-kneed. Oh, poor thing. Hey, girl. All that extra weight. It's too sweet. I love zebra, and I really enjoy the amount of time that we get to spend with them. Apart from being exceptionally photogenic creatures. And she really is a very pretty mum. Aren't you, girl? Some zebra I find are just prettier than others. William, no. People have tried in the past, but zebra are not used domestically. Obviously, they are more closely related to donkeys than they are to horses, although they are part of the horse family. But they have proved to have a temperament that is exceptionally untrainable. So although they have, yes, some people have tried to use them in the past in terms of yoking them up and using them to pull sort of carriage-like things, it just doesn't work because zebra are, and there you go, look, you can see the milk. You can see her nipples swollen, which means this baby is really going to be on its way soon. We'll keep an eye out and we'll keep you updated because we pass this area pretty much every single day. What was I saying? Oh, yes. They're angry animals. They're angry with each other. The only tame zebra I have ever encountered bit me. and you can't ride them. Donna, they are pregnant for 9 months, if I remember correctly. Is that right? Yes, I'm sure it is. You know, you get a bit rusty after a while if you're not sort of talking about these facts. Shame she's so hungry she's been left behind the rest of the herd. No, I'm sorry, it's a bit longer than that. It's a bit longer than 9 months. I think it's 12 months, or close to 12 months. That's right, now I remember. It seems like such a long period of time for a zebra to be pregnant. When you think that a buffalo is pregnant for 11 months, a hippopotamus is pregnant for around about 9 months, and yet somehow zebra are pregnant for nearly a year. 360 odd days. That's a long time. And that, of course, I mean, when the babies are born, they are born highly, highly precocial. They're up and about and moving. And James had that incredible sighting on Djuma, where he saw a zebra birth. OD farming. Pregnant animals don't stay in one area to avoid predation. This zebra herd is up here because this is where they like to be. This has become their home range is around this particular mountain. But the pregnant animals will move where the herd moves. When they're giving birth, that's a different story. What they'll do usually, almost invariably, is they will take themselves off somewhere private. And the reason that they do that, the hormones and the risk to the rest of the herd creates a sort of a hysteria amongst the other animals, particularly buffalo. Buffalo go, and I know cows do it as well apparently, buffalo go completely off their minds. If the female actually does give birth in their midst, they start to not attack her. It's one of the most confusing things I've ever seen. They will attack the female, yes, they'll attack the baby as well, but they also start to behave in a very strange way. Males obviously start to mount the females because of the smell of the hormones, but females also start mounting males. I don't know if it's a show of dominance. Everything goes out the window. It goes completely bonkers. So the females do take themselves away for a bit of privacy, and they, with the relative exception being the elephants, although so far the few births that I've seen, the rest of the herd haven't been around. But what have you got to say? Are you going to play football now? I think your pregnant teammate might not be up for a game of football. I don't think that's going to work. By the way, you see the, I assume, netball net that's at the back there? That was yesterday, during the storm. Just to give you a rough idea as to how serious the wind was, it blew over the netball net. There's also a volleyball court. The zebras, of course, being the most regular visitors. Cat Mama, the only live births that I have managed to put on camera, the actual moment of birth when water broke and nose poked out, was a wildebeest, and that was after was in my first few months of working for Safari Live, when I still didn't know what on earth was going on, and the camera was a terrifying and exhausting thing. But I sat with a herd of wildebeest for the sunset safari, I think, the entire sunset safari, possibly the sunrise safari, I can't really remember, but as we arrived first thing in the morning, before the sunrise safari had started, the wildebeest water broke in front of us, and we did manage to go live with that. She moved into some thick vegetation, and I didn't follow her for the moment that the baby actually dropped out, but we did see it take its sort of first few tottering steps, and it was all damp and wet and gorgeous. So yes, VM, of course, is named wildebeest because he recorded the first live birth. I've seen a zebra give birth, I've seen impala give birth, but none of those have been live. I've also been fortunate to arrive just after a rhino gave birth. Oh, look at this. Scratchy, scratchy. Anyone will be a scratching post. Cool, So that's one of my goals. I would really love to see a zebra birth live because it was such a special moment with James. I would really, really love to see a giraffe birth live as well. I've come very close to seeing a giraffe being born. I could see the head sticking out, but then the mother moved where we couldn't follow her. And obviously, with animals in labor, really, there's a huge amount of discretion that is needed. Just don't follow them willy-nilly when you're going to scare them when they're already in a state of fragility. What do you think, girl? Not up for a game of football today? I thought for a second, because that does occasionally happen, as you asked that question, I thought, okay, she's lying down to give birth. She's just lying down to have a bit of a roll. When's she going to give birth? Sometime in the next, I would guess, 3 or so days? I mean, I really think it's imminent. Those of you with horses, or those of you familiar with horses, maybe you can tell me, when the milk comes in on a horse, how soon afterwards will the mare give birth? Obviously, there will be differences. Obviously, there will be certain periods of time where that doesn't happen, or doesn't happen immediately. But I'm curious to know, is there an average time period? Oh, is that a good scratch? Yes. That's where having a friend is so useful. Get those hard-to-reach ticks. Oh, yes, and of course serve as a scratching post. And you, of course, can send through that answer along with any questions on #SafariLive on Twitter. Who knows when the zebra mare is going to give birth? I hope soon. I hope we're there, but you never know. Okay, well, we search for some birds to show you, because I did promise you birds, and I haven't found you any yet. Let's go across to Tristan in South Africa to see whether his search for the leopards is going well.
Well, not really. We're having a bit of a struggle. We also got a bit sidetracked because there was tracks for wild dogs coming onto Vuyatela, but they unfortunately have crossed onto Arethusa, and so they're apparently milling around on central Arethusa at the moment, but they've moved incredibly far during this morning because their tracks were on top of Rexon and Taxon's tracks when they started the drive, so it just goes to show how fast they can go. So we got a bit distracted, and it took us a while to kind of get to where Hosanna was seen last night, and his tracks are also just milling around that little nest cam. It looks as though he went up towards the kind of lodge area, and then from there we lost the tracks, and so now we're just on the northern side of the camp checking Gallagher Pan and just checking around this side to see if there's any sign of him. What I'm hoping is that we're going to pick up his tracks going back on the tracks that he had coming to the dam, and that hopefully will indicate that maybe, just maybe, Hosanna might have a meal somewhere. If he's going back and forth to water, it generally does mean that there's some sort of food item close by, and we can then hopefully find him if he does have a food item. That's at least the plan anyway. Whether or not it's going to work is anyone's guess, but there is a beautiful group of Nyala, which is I think the first animal that we've actually even seen this morning. We've had very little in the way of mammalian species, but there is a beautiful Nyala female. This is actually quite a large group. There's a couple of tiny little babies in the background as well, where that female's going. There they are. There's the two little ones, and the one on the right is still very small, and we've been having a baby themed morning so far with Jamie discussing all these pregnant zebras and them giving birth. Now those little baby Nyala, particularly the smallest one that was on the right, I would say is probably only maybe a couple weeks, a month, somewhere around there. It is still very little, that baby over there, and hopefully it's going to come out. I'm just going to try and roll forward so that VM doesn't have those branches in his way, and we can maybe see that little one a little bit better. There we go. That's, I think, come on. But how cute is that? The ears are almost as big as it at this stage, and so when they're born they've got these massive ears, and obviously they keep them throughout their life, but still absolutely beautiful. Now there's also something else that's beautiful that's sitting right above me, and it's a bush shrike. You can hear it calling. So this is the grey-headed bush shrike, and it's known as the ghost bird in Afrikaans, and it's because of this eerie call that we're hearing. Now they are a beautiful bird. They've got lots of orange and yellows. and that grey head, and big and bulky, and they're actually a very big predator. So you'll find that these guys go after all kinds of things, from big chameleons to snakes. They're not even scared of going after some of the venomous snakes like boomslang and vine snakes, which is really quite amazing. And I've seen them take on snakes that are probably, I would say, 10 times their size in terms of the length of the snake, and still be able to kill them. So they're quite a ferocious bird, and one you've got to be a little careful of if you are a snake or a chameleon. Right. Well, that was nice to see. At least our little Nyalas have drifted behind some thickets, so we're going to leave them be as well. They seem very relaxed, which means that I don't think there's been a leopard moving around in this general vicinity. I wonder, like I say, if Hosana maybe was busy yesterday and he managed to get himself something. Wouldn't surprise me if he did. He's becoming such an sort of established individual that it wouldn't be surprising at all if he had some sort of food item there. Right, now while I go and check this all out, I believe Jamie is fulfilling her promise and has a bird, so before it flies away and disappears, let's jump across to her and see what it is.
Look at what we found for you. I promised a bird, and a bird has delivered in the form of a purple grenadier that at the moment is hidden. There it is. Isn't that just the prettiest little thing you have ever seen in your entire life? Okay, maybe not ever, but they really are utterly gorgeous. And that blue, I mean, I know it's meant to be the purple grenadier, but that, let's face it, it's blue. That blue, I saw 2 of them yesterday in the rain, drying themselves off, and the colors were just so unbelievably vibrant, shining in the sun. Wait, come back. Come back. You can also hear some starlings, but let's see if we can wait for it. It should come out. They do hop around. They feed like little blue waxbills, or like all waxbills, or firefinches, or those sorts of things. Now that is, from what I can see, the little male. So the female is a bit more drab, as is typically, you know, as a general rule, that is largely the way of birds. The female tends to be a bit more drab. Oh, look, and we've got a golden-breasted bunting as well. That's all happening here. All the little seed eaters. Oh, there goes the grenadiers out in the open. Just to the left, I think that's the grenadier over there. Just to the left, a bit further to the left. There you go. Look at it, gathering up the seeds on the end of the grasses. And you often see them all together in flocks, and I do a case up here that we've seen them the most frequently. Pretty little creatures. You can hear bulbuls in the background as well, making such a racket. Nice. So it's sort of, I guess, the East African equivalent of a violet-eared waxbill, which I think we might have seen on Djuma. I'm trying to think. Let me unplug this. So this is a little bird that we're looking at. A purple grenadier. And that is the male. So we said we saw the male. You can see the blue belly. And then down below is the female, who's pretty enough in her own right, actually, to be fair. But she doesn't have quite the same colors. I'm just going to move out of people's way. Obviously, we are right outside of a camp, so there are going to be people moving backwards and forwards. And he's going to make it. He's going to make around the puddle. Good morning. That particular pickup truck works hard. It's up and down here every day. So there you go, a purple grenadier to add to your list. By the way, thank you, speaking of answers on our pregnant zebras, thank you to Neen and to Liz. Thank you to Liz and to Neen, who tells me that let's try for one last look at the little seed eaters that are pottering about. Thank you for telling me that apparently when the nipples are waxy, which actually I think I've asked before and I think you've answered before, when the nipples of the zebra are waxy, it is means that the birth is imminent. Now, Ryan, you're wondering about whether or not we have indigo buntings here. I don't think so, but what I'm trying to check is if there's a different name for them. That's what I'm searching for. So we've seen the golden-breasted bunting knocking about. Would the indigo maybe have a different name? I don't think we do, though. I'm still not 100% familiar with all of the different birds that we get. Sorry, I'm busy looking. No, I don't think we get the indigo buntings, but I'll double check for you just in case I'm mistaken on that. The other thing I want to try and show you here on our way down is the... where is it? Not blue-headed, not blue-cheeked. Where is it? One of the bee-eaters. White-throated bee-eater. There's a couple of little bee-eaters that we're going to go and look for down in the forest, provided I can find signal. And if we're really lucky, we'll find an African Turacos. It's the Turacos. They're taunting me. We're going to have to go find them right now. They're doing their mating call. We're going to go find them. I'm going to drive into the ranger's picket, but they're just going to have to deal with it. I hope we have signal. But we have to find them. We just have to. You are not a Turaco. Just gonna sit and listen for a second. Have you got it? Or not? No. Jowie, you were about to be my newest hero. I think they're calling from behind the picket, which is a bit of a problem. Because whilst I'll drive close, they've got bulbuls. While I will drive close to the picket, I will not drive into it. That is a little bit disrespectful to just drive into someone's home whilst live. So I'm not going to do that. But I can hear them. I can hear them. Come on. Come out. Please come out. Okay, sitting here is definitely not going to help. I'm not begging them to come out, but they're here, which means we could find them. It's that sound that I played you yesterday on the sunset of Safari. We're very... I know lots of you are.
Hello, welcome back. The Batman are still on the move. We're going to do a quick check past the main crossings and see if we can see old Scarface and his cohorts, Morani, Onsiko, and Hunter, and maybe a quick glimpse of the Paradise Pride. It is really, really clean and fresh this morning. Now, we've been having quite a few crossings in the last little bit, but it doesn't seem to be much build-up around the main crossings at the moment. But I know there is build-up around the lookout crossings, and that's in the area where we're heading at the moment. Let's have a look how much the Mara rose overnight, but actually quite a bit. So there must not only have been rain here, but there must have been good rain upstream in the Mao Highlands as well. So really, really full compared to the last time I was here. Not even a rock visible in the rapids. It always pays to have a close inspection when you're around here. The Paradise Pride might be about. Lots of rufous nape larks making lots of noise this morning. There's a lovely yellow-billed stork opposite us, feeding along the edges, hoping to catch any fish that have been washed down, particularly the little ones that after they come down the rapids, they'll try get to the calmer water on the edge. just hear the roar of the river. But not too much else happening, so onwards we go. I am very untrusting of the banks of the Mara River. They too tend to collapse, especially after a lot of rain, so we keep our way a little bit further back away from the edge. So we're going to keep checking the rest of the crossings. We're going to go have a look at Main South next and then Dusty. But while we do that, it seems like Scotty's found some pachyderms.
Well, let's hope Brent does get lucky finding either Scar or the Paradise Pride, or ideally both. Now, I'm hoping we get lucky and we see this elephant shake this large balanites tree in order to dislodge the fruits that are hanging above him. He did walk up to the tree and do it once now. You can see he's probably still just looking for the fruits that fell from that initial shakedown. And once he's finished detecting those with his highly sensitive trunk, I'm hoping he's going to give it one more shake. It's one of my favorite things to watch, is elephants shaking trees to get the fruits off them. A major reason why is because it's just an incredible display of how strong they are. To be able to shake a tree of that size, you have to have some serious power. What are you going to do? I'm thinking it's still getting some fruits that fell off the terminal ends of this tree. And, or was that a mouthful of grass? Yeah, you can see he's kind of just below the terminal end. And once he's finished snacking on those little final bits, maybe we'll get lucky and he'll shake it again. Ideally, he'll approach it broadside so we get to see his whole body from a side angle. So we're at the foothills of the Olololo escarpment here. Instead of taking the river road, which Brent took ahead of us, it made, at least I thought, a bit more sense to drive through a different area in the hope that we may be able to find something else of interest, rather than all heading down the same road. Of course, that's not to say that something may have popped out onto the road 10 minutes after Brent had moved through. But I am essentially following the same general pathway as Brent. I'm not going to cross the Mara River like he is a bit later on towards Sila's camp. We are going to hang around Lookout Hill in the hope that we're going to get some river crossings. There's a lot of wildebeest moving in that area, and there have been crossings almost every day for the last 3 or 4 days. Hello, proud cat mama. I'm happy that you're enjoying this splendid view that we are sharing with you of this big Ellie bull, and that you too would love to see him shake down this tree again. I fear, though, it looks like beautiful. I love seeing elephants out in the open from a kind of long distance away like we have been viewing him, because you get such a good idea of how big they are with relation to the landscape that they are perusing through. Alrighty, I think we're going to venture forth. We've still got quite a way to go before we get to what could be an area of high action with lots of wildebeest. So, rather than staying here in these relatively void plains, I would like to take us across to somewhere where we are more likely to get some epic action. And we've got a short period of time to make the most of the remaining migrating herds. Well, no one knows exactly how long, but I mean, in theory, they will continue south into Tanzania, and maybe in the next week or 2 weeks, we will not have these opportunities to try and see epic river crossings and all the action and excitement around the large numbers of those herds. Very good. We are going to continue heading south. So too will you be. You'll be going a few thousand miles further south than us, all the way back to Tristan, who is still on the search for a leopard.
I am indeed. So we just come to where Hosanna's tracks are. That's the last track that I've got of him, which is heading in a sort of northerly direction towards Weirtella Camp. Now, there's nothing else that I can find coming out anyway, so what I want to try and do is just take a little tour down towards the front of the camp and just check this little riverbed that runs there, because there's nothing that goes further up that way. So I'm pretty sure that Hosanna maybe went down either into the camp completely, or he's gone down to this way towards the front of the camp, and I want to just try and see if there isn't a sign of him in this general vicinity. Now, I don't know if I'm going to actually be able to get down here, but we'll try our very best. But it's interesting though, the way that he's moving is strange. I would have thought that he would have gone south from where he was there and would have headed back down towards sort of Treehouse, Twin Dams, that area. It's an area that he knows very well, and he tends to kind of head that way and has in the past. So I'm quite surprised that if he's changed his sort of modus operandi now. I've come the wrong way, otherwise I'm not going to be able to get down here. I forgot we can't come down here anymore. So we're going to have to just do a little loop around, back around the other side of the little nest cam and try and just get down that way. And then I want to just check that riverbed going towards sort of north, and if there's nothing on that side, then, well, I'm not quite sure. Then I'm a little bit stumped as to where we're going to find this young man. I would imagine, you reckon, down that way. If we go this way, we should be fine. So VM and I are just discussing which way we're going to go. It looks as though we could probably get down there. It's quite steep, but this is going to be much easier if we go around this side of the nest cam and then just check down there. But like I say, if he's not there, then, well, I'm not quite sure what we're going to do, because Hyena Den's not active, wild dogs have gone off, no sign of any lions, there's no sign of any elephants as well. I believe the guys are trying to find some kind of indication of elephants around us, but nothing so far. So there's been no sign on Buffalo's Hook or Torchwood in the last couple of days. And so I don't know, we might then head towards Chitwa, although Chitwa will be probably a little bit on the miserable side with this cold, windy weather that we've got. I don't know if many of the animals will actually be down that area and spending too much time near the water hole, but you never know, maybe they will be. So we'll try and go and have a little look and see what's in that general vicinity. Now, see that there's a guest here, so we're not going to go down this way, we're going to just turn off. And so while we do that, I believe Brent Leo Smith has found himself a crocodile and a whole bunch of prey items that are waiting unsuspectingly.
Well, we can hear a very distressed zebra calling to each other across the Mara River. Now, I think we arrived a little bit late for the scene that happened. So there's two zebra on the opposite bank that are making an incredible racket. And this herd this side, but there we go. Trying to call the friends across. Now, I think those two made it, and the third one didn't, and that's why the whole herd did not cross. Because if we look downstream of that zebra, there is one of the Mara River behemoths. Oh, make that two of the Mara River behemoths. There could be a bit of argument over that zebra carcass now. Now, the zebras have run off. I think they're going to run towards Dusty Crossing, but we've got a bit of time before they get there. So we're just going to see what plays out with these two massive crocodiles. As I say, I think we arrived a little bit late, and I know for sensitive viewers, sometimes this can be a little bit difficult. The zebra is dead, however. It is drowned. It is no longer alive. No, that croc looks like he wants to go to where the rest of the zebra are going to cross. He wants his own zebra. There are some absolutely massive crocodiles here. I'm just trying to keep a lookout behind to see if they use a different crossing point. So these crocodiles are making the most of the last sort of zebra and wildebeest crossings. have a look where the other zebra are. I'm just going to move slightly. It's Brad is wondering, how do crocodiles eat a zebra if they can't tear the skin like lions do? Sorry, I think they're going to cross here. There's another little crossing here. Hold on, guys. So it's Brad. What happens is they'll actually use the death roll. So they'll grab on and they'll spin and use their massive weight to rip pieces of flesh off that and then swallow it whole. Here come the zebras. Now they might head back to the crossing we're just at, or they might try cross where they are. I think they might actually head back to where we were. We don't want to disturb them, so that's why we stay a little bit further away and just wait. But they are really, really excited, calling to each other. They really want to cross. What happened? Another little herd has arrived as well, or arriving, so it could build up and they get each other excited enough to actually cross that very dangerous river. And this particular stretch has some of the biggest crocs in the Mara. Now, Roshni says, I love the zebra calls. Craig, they're going down towards the river. Are they? Looks like it. I'm just going to sneak forward a tiny bit. Now, everywhere I look, I see massive crocodiles hiding in the eddies on the edge of the river. And they saw that crocodile as well. There's a big one that started swimming down towards where they were heading, causing them to head back from the river's edge. Now, this is a very distressed. These are very distressed zebra calls at the moment. The herd has been split by the crocodiles. And they're desperate to cross, but they also know that there's imminent danger. So they might run all the way around towards Dusty Crossing. Although I don't think it's much safer there. Oh, Craig, it looks like there's another crocodile with some older meat. See them there? So it looks like it's an older piece of meat there. Can't really... That looks like a topi. That is a topi. So maybe the topi tried to cross with the zebra as well. At the moment, there's just quite a lot of defending of their carcasses against other crocodiles. At this time of the year, crocodiles are very aggressive. It is the nesting season, so the females are super aggressive, defending their nests against other crocodiles, and the males are just generally aggressive after the breeding season. Okay, hold on. I think we're going to have to shoot round to Dusty Crossing. The zebra are moving towards there, so let's try get there. So while we rush across towards Dusty Crossing, let's go see how Jamie's birding endeavours on top of the mountain are going.
We got him, we got him, we got him! We got him, we got him, we got him! Okay, there they are. No, don't fly, don't fly, don't fly, don't fly! Oh my goodness, this is so exciting. Okay, whew. All right, we've got one Ross's Turaco, there, one there. They're still in that bush there. There we go. Up there, there it is. There it is, it's hopping about. It's in there. There it is. Woohoo! Well done, Jahowie. We managed it. How cool. There you go, everyone. There you go, there's the flash of red in the wings. How awesome is that? Okay, let's try one more time. I'm going to do something very naughty. Whee! I'm so excited! This is such a fun game. This is my new favorite game. Okay, I see you, Turacos. I see you. Okay, nobody tell anyone what I'm doing, okay? And just keep this nice and quiet. Okay, in there. There's one there. To the top and to the... Well done, Joey. There we go. How excited are we? We might even get to see them do their call. Eating away in the berries. I've forgotten what those berries are called, but Shadrach made me eat one, and when I bit into it, it was full of latex. And I got such a fright, because latex, of course, where I come from, means the plant is poisonous, but these are not. Joe, you say such neat colours. I know. The cool thing about Turacos, of course, is that they're the birds with true green and red pigments. All the other green and red birds create those colours by an overlay of different pigments and a reflection of light. Whereas Turacos have Turaco verdin, and what's the other one? Turaco niacin, I think. The two pigments, that's where their name comes from. Look at that! I'm so excited. It must be a new one for most of you, if not all of you. I confess earlier I was even trying to call them out with the bird call. Anna Marie, 80 on your Mara bird list. Fantastic, and what a special one it is too. This was the aim, everyone. Apart from the slight lack of diesel, this was the reason we were staying out here. This is why we were staying up in this particular area. They're forest birds, they're forest Turacos. They hide away, they're cryptic and difficult to find. We got them. Male and a female pair. I'm so chuffed. I just... excuse me. My overexcitement is, taking its toll. I'd actually just said to Megan over the radio that I was going to go and try and find the blue flycatchers in a place where I didn't think we'd have signal, and then they flew past us, and it turned into this manic chase that would have rivaled Brent, Leo Smith and the Wild Dogs, I promise you. It was crazy. That desperate feeling of panic when you're terrified the bird's going to fly away from you. See how hard they are to spot. That's why you've got to follow them by sound, unless you're lucky enough to see them flying, which is what we were. Otherwise, spotting them in that is next to impossible. So exciting. I'm hoping if we sit with them for a little bit, it might still be early enough in the day for them to do their little mating dance. Bright flash of yellow. Mac with a K, you say that you're very excited to see this and that you can't wait for it to fly. I know. That's what we're going to do. We're just going to sit here and we're going to be patient. It might not be the best view in the world, but it's worth it. Because at some point it will tire of eating these fruits and it'll move off in a different direction, and you'll see that flash of red underneath its wings. That immediately drew my attention. It's just this little yellow beak poking out. It's amazing. Oh man, this was the dream I was having from yesterday afternoon when the storm ended and they popped out in the open. Now, Ryan, I suspect, I know that they are monogamous seasonally, but I suspect that males and females in these sorts of areas could properly stay together for the rest of their lives, depending on how many there are. They do have that amazing duet that they do that tends to speak towards almost lifelong monogamy in terms of the way that they call the bonds that they have with each other. You do find them in groups as well. I've only ever seen them in pairs, but apparently you do find them in groups in certain areas, and I imagine in those sorts of circumstances then they will not be monogamous to each other. But seasonally, when they do breed, they will be monogamous. And no, actually, I think the statistic is somewhere in the region of 90% of birds are monogamous, either seasonally or permanently. like for example with the raptor species. And I love that about birds. There's something special about that whole process. And the fact that migrating birds, migrating raptors will travel over 1,000 miles and then meet up with the same male or female again and again and again. Or storks. Storks also do that. It's such a special story. I can hear a barbet calling. That's going to be next on my list of things to get you this morning. No, the male and females are exactly the same in the Ross's Turaco. So they are identical, and the only difference you'll see is when they're little, when they don't have the same amount of red crest and their bills are not quite as prominently yellow. I wonder... No, I'm not going to. I played the call to try and find them, and they did respond, but I'm not going to play the call again. Otherwise, I'm worried because I found them far from where we originally played the call. I'm worried that they're going to think it's a giant Turaco with the volume and fly away, never to be seen again. We don't want that. So exciting. Where'd you go now? You just dropped down. No, there it is. I can sort of see it moving about. See why this is such a tricky process. Okay, when it flies, it could actually fly the way we don't want it to fly. I can see movement, but I think they've just dropped below that green bush in terms of where we can see them. Shall I continue to be a bit badly behaved? Yes, I can. I shall. Let's go around. It's Brad, you say that, well, if they look the same, what is the use of the look of them, the crest and everything, if it doesn't attract a mate? Well, it works both ways, I suppose. Birds have different approaches, but don't do it to me. I suppose you could say that a healthy female is just as attractive to a male as a healthy male is to a female, would be one of my guesses. I mean, there's different approaches for birds. The drab, that's a dove. The Turaco has transformed into a dove. Ooh, it's so mushy here. Imagine if I get stuck trying to find your Turaco. There. Can you reach that there with the roof? I think you probably just can. There they go, there they go. Hey, oh, one more time. Oh, into the trees. Let's go catch them. This is my new favorite game. Oh, let me just think this through before we do get stuck trying to follow Turacos. Oh no, don't do a call now. It's just one of those things. They flew away into the tree and then did their call. If you go up a little bit and to the right, I can just see a beak sticking out. A little bit to the right and down a little. Somewhere there. There we go. Okay. Got him. Where'd you go? Where'd you go? Oh, into the back. Oh, this is more exhausting than wild dogs. Sorry, I definitely could have given you more warning. No, don't come out that side now. There goes one. Number two's gonna take off. Ah, into the tree. Roshni, it's iridescence that you're seeing, that blue tinge. Poor Jahawi, this is trial by fire here. It really is. And he's doing such an amazing job. Roshni is iridescence that you can see, very similar to starlings that we encounter. We might even encounter Miss McCurdy on her run out here. I said I wasn't going to follow her, but oh no! No, we're going into the rocks, everyone. This is disastrous. Oh, I'm going to be in so much trouble. Okay, land there. Land there. Good Turaco. Good Turaco. Might even do its contact call now. That's a bush willow. How interesting. I've lost it. Oh, here it goes. There it goes. Okay. Alright, we can probably stop tormenting the Putaracos. I don't think we're actually. I think they're just... Oh, there. You see the bright yellow on the top there? I don't think we're actually tormenting them. I think they're just moving from fruit tree to fruit tree. But to the right, and you'll get it there. Hello. Come on, do your contact call. Do your contact call. If you look down and to the left, you'll see it's hidden behind that patchy bush. There we go. That's not very easy. Oof. Grey skies and birding. I've only just realised there's a herd of topi looking at me like I'm completely mental. Oh, they're both together again. Come on, do your call. Do your call for us. Please? Turns out that doesn't work so well. The red-eyed dove heard me. I am the red-eyed dove. Okay. Here we go. And back behind us. Just for fun. Here comes the second one, I'm sure. It's at the top there of the tree and it's going to come out soon. And then it's probably going to go and do its mating call behind me. Come on. Yes, we see you. We see you. It's hard to hide when you've got a bright red and yellow face. Okay, now it's a guessing game. Which sides are going to come out? One last flight for us. Come on, then we'll leave you. Every now and again a bird flies past just to keep us guessing. There we go. Oh, it's so hard up against that sky. And right behind us. Bravo to Jahawi for doing an exceptional job. Probably regretting ever going on drive with me, but we did it. We did it. I'm so chuffed. Okay, I need to get back onto a road. I'm going to be in big trouble. So I'm going to go and find a road. While we do that, I can look across towards the base of the Mara, and I know that Brent is at a crossing. Let's go and see what's happening there.
We are still with the zebra herd. They have moved probably about 1.5 kilometers all the way to Dusty Crossing. Now there's a herd of topi that look like they're joining and a second herd of zebra. So I think we might get across a crossing here. Now I think the topi are being quite smart. They can hear the distress of the zebras and it looks like the zebras really want to cross. Now the odds are if there are more of you, there's less likely that you're the one who's going to be eaten. We've got more zebras arriving as well from behind us. We can't see them just yet, but the crocodiles have heard the sound, and all of a sudden there's some bigger crocodiles that are popping out that we couldn't see earlier. And see, there's one over there, there's one up at the top of the rapid, straight over the bush. There we go. That we could not see that. They're sort of almost getting ready for the zebras and the topies to try cross the river. And another one higher up, just at the top corner of the rapid there, Craig. You see him there? Oh, and look at that, the perpetual smile of the Nile crocodile. Now, the other two zebras that made it across have been running on the opposite bank all the way around, calling. Come across. And the others are answering, oh, there's a crocodile. Maybe not. Why don't you come back? But I think it's going to be the case that this group wants to join the two on the other side. And they are jogging around in the forests up ahead, some of them. And as I say, there's slowly but surely, there's more groups of zebra joining. And they're not going to cross there in the forest. The banks are too steep. Oh, I was wrong. It wasn't 2 zebras. It was 3. And they've just made their way around the corner there, running around, calling to the others. Oh, and both those big crocodiles we're looking for earlier have gone into stealth mode. Roshni, there we go. Roshni said she waited so long to hear the zebra call. And these ones are calling incessantly at each other. Oh, there are a couple of hippos here as well. And here we go. Here's the next herd of zebra that's just decided to join us. Are they going to make an attempt at a crossing before the others? Another big crocodile's just popped out of the woodwork, swimming across to the opposite bank. Marianne is wondering, is there not a bridge that these zebras can take? No, Marianne, and they have been crossing here for thousands and thousands of years, and a bridge would be nice for the zebras, but they need to cross the river in terms of population control. The crocodiles need to eat. They need to keep the numbers down. They need to drown. Otherwise, nature would become out of balance. And you guys given away your position a bit early, crocodilians. Did you get too excited for a breakfast or an equine breakfast? Now, even though that they sometimes see the crocodiles, it doesn't mean they won't cross. The river is also quite high this morning, so quite deep, which will make it a little bit easier for the crocodiles. Is wondering, do the big cats ever take advantage of these crossings? And there's a bit of a zebra argument going on there. And attack them when they reach the other side. Yes, they do. The Paradise Prides specialize in attacking animals that are fatigued after crossing the Mara River. Have a look behind us, see if there's any more zebra joining. So as slowly but surely the herds join together, they generally feel safer crossing in bigger numbers, and of course the law of averages comes into play there. If there's more of you, you're less likely to be the one who gets eaten by the crocodiles. Now, as I say, quite often with a lot of things out in the African bush. Oh, sorry, Craig. Oh, there's a croc climbing the... Where are you going? Oh, 2 big crocs there. Massive crocs, in fact. Now, there could be a nest there. I'd say the big one in the front is probably a male. The one at the back's a female. Now, if that male's getting too close to a nest, that female will try keep him away from it. Look at that tail. Incredible strength in a crocodile's tail to get up that fast water. Well spotted, Craig. Oh, here comes the upset herd, the ones that seem to be desperate to cross. They're coming out of the forest. They've been calling. Oh, we're going down. Slip, slide. Lots of rain last night. Heading down towards the water's edge. Now, the other zebra that are not part of this original distressed herd we've been following for quite a while are also joining up with the herd. So I know a lot of you will be cheering for the zebra. Oh, sorry, my head's in the way there. Get out of the way. But there is a likelihood that not all of them will make it across. You can see they're still nervous. They know there's danger in the river, but they really want to join up with their 3 friends on the other side. And those big crocs have gone into proper stealth mode now. You can only see just the tip of one's nose. Here we are, playing the patience game. Oh, you can see how nervous they are of that water. Who's going to make the first plunge? Faith, if you are listening, which I know you are, as soon as the first one is in the water, we can join the Action broadcast group, if that's okay. Now they are getting closer and closer to the water, but they're walking to and from. So it is a patience game to see if they're going to cross. Now, the crocs aren't so visible here as they were at the last crossing. Now, we know they're there. Oh, here we go. Okay, let's concentrate on this one. She's going right down to the water's edge. There's the one calling for the rest of the herd. Is she going to make the plunge? All on her own? That wouldn't be very smart. She's really thinking about it. Oh, sorry, hat. I'm going to duck past. Sorry. No, not yet. She's just that little bit too nervous. A very distinct, very dark stripe on her neck there. Quite pretty. There we go, you can see a very broad stripe. David in Napa is wondering, oh, listen to them. Does the sound of the water scare them? No, it's the threat of the crocodiles in the water. See, look at that monster. That's what scared her off. But no, the others might cross from the other side. Oh no, they've also seen that monster crocodile. But that herd instinct might take over, and they might still, all that calling. No. Discretion is the better part of valor in this case. and it seems like they might actually even move down to one of the other crossings that's further down the river. And we're going to keep with this. This is such a fascinating, it's so fascinating watching them. Just the sight of a croc puts off this whole crossing. It would put me off as well, and they might move down to one of the smaller, lesser used crossings, just because there's not that mass number, so the chances of being eaten are much higher. Oh, we've got mating zebras, or attempted mating zebras. It doesn't look like she's too interested in, just keeps moving away and escape.